Since 2003, this is the Sports Source, East Tennessee's #1 sports talk show.
Presented by Pipe Wrench, Junk Be Gone, and the Garza Law Firm.
With your host, John Pennington. The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into the Sports Source here in the Paper Be Gone studios for the last time in these settings. We'll explain that in a second, but we appreciate you being here today. We've got the original core four. The four guys who have joined me on this set more than any other are back today. And as part of our kickoff to our 20th anniversary here, which begins, this will be our 20th football season here in the fall, we're going to do kind of a throwback show where we look at things and how they've changed since 2003, some traditions we might bring back, et cetera, et cetera. Should be a fun show. Let's get right into it. First segment of tonight's program is brought to you by Junk Be Gone. Take a good look at our great set today as we're doing it, because 8 years ago, Benedict Construction built this for us and did a great job with it, and I thank those guys today for giving us a great home for these last 8 years. But we will be moving on to our new set next week, fingers crossed, barring any bad luck. We'll be on a brand new set, just a massive, massive change. That'll be next week. So if I've got to take down this set and get it out of here, who am I calling? Junk Be Gone. Whether it's do-it-yourself or actual demolition work, they do it and they do it well. JunkBeGone.biz. I've used them for everything. I haven't used them for this kind of job before, but we're going to have some cameras rolling. We'll show you the way they do it. They do it very, very well. Junk Be Gone. Check them out, JunkBeGone.biz this week. All right, let's welcome in the panelists. We have longtime sports writers, one and all here. We have Bob Hodge. We have Jimmy Himes, who you can hear Monday through Friday on Sports Talk on the Sports Animal from 3 till 7. Mike Strange back with us. Hey! Mike, welcome. And right down there, Chuck Cavaleris. Chuck, thanks for joining us. As I said, we're going to start our new set next week as part of our 20th anniversary thing. So tonight, let's do a kind of a look-back show over UT history and things that have changed, et cetera, et cetera. I wanted to start with one of the biggest changes that the league has gone through, and I thought, well, you added Missouri and Texas A&M since we've been on the air, but let's just go back a little further, because when we came on, Arkansas and South Carolina had only been in the SEC for about 10 years. Now they've been in it 30. Well, has expansion, it used to just be a simple 10-team league. Everybody knew each other, hated each other. It was great. Then you throw in Arkansas and South Carolina. Then you throw in Missouri and Texas A&M. We'll get to whether it's been good for fans or not, but has it been good for Tennessee? Did expansion help Tennessee or hurt Tennessee? And we could look at where they're down now and say it hurt, but you could also look back further. When it happened, didn't exactly hurt them in the 90s. So overall, hurt Tennessee or help Tennessee expansion? Gentlemen?
I'm going to go hurt.
We got two hurts right off the bat.
I got hurt. Well, I think, first off, I don't know that they're great rivalries with those, but then I think about South Carolina. I mean, Johnny Majors kind of got fired because he lost to South Carolina, right? And then
and Arkansas 2 weeks before that.
That's right, in Arkansas. So get them out of here. And then you had South Carolina. Butch Jones had a chance to win the SEC East, and he lost to South Carolina. Didn't they honor Peyton Manning one night? South Carolina beat him.
Spurrier's first night back in the league.
The jinx. I don't see a whole lot of good that's happened. The best team that Butch Jones had, he went to College Station. He was ranked number 6 in the country. They lost A&M in multiple overtimes.
Right.
I don't know that expansion's been good for Tennessee. I don't think it has been.
I think you can make a case that in the 90s,
it
helped because South Carolina was terrible. That was an added win on your schedule. Clint Sterner certainly helped you in 1998. I mean, you went up, and then your winning percentage. I went back and looked. Pre-expansion, Tennessee's all-time win percentage was about 69%. Since expansion, it's 63%. And we're just talking football right now, so we can talk basketball too. Mike, Chuck, has expansion been good for Tennessee or bad for Tennessee?
I think South Carolina's been a good rivalry. I'm thumbs up on South Carolina, Arkansas. A big thumbs down on Texas A&M and Missouri. I can't really differentiate between the fan experience and the results on the field, but from a fan experience, down on
Texas it's not like you actually feel compelled to make a road trip to Missouri to watch a noon kickoff or a 7 o'clock, whatever it is. And, that's the one that From the good or bad for Tennessee is the question, right?
Yep.
It was good starting out, and then it's fallen off the cliff. It seems like, to me.
Has it helped basketball or hurt basketball at all? I mean, that's the interesting thing is, at least in football, the Tennessee-South Carolina thing in football, you've had some interesting games there.
Yep.
Arkansas is good, but I don't know
Don't
that
see 'em
anybody.
very often.
Yeah, and Missouri hasn't. They've gone downhill. They've had Conzo Martin, former coach. There's that, but I think it's been worse in basketball than it has in football in terms of for Tennessee.
I think basketball.
Just in terms of interest, I mean.
Basketball to me, the 4 expansion teams are just a net neutral nothing. I mean, I don't sit there and look forward to the Arkansas or Texas A&M games, and so that brings me back to football, and that's where I go that it was bad. And I mean, yeah, okay, the first 6, 7 years, okay, it wasn't so bad. I think it's been a pretty big negative ever since then. And for I mean, you haven't beat A&M. You've only seen them twice, so they really don't even feel like a part of this thing. South Carolina, how many great players on that team that beat
Tennessee
Arkansas because of Clint Sterner's fumble came from South
Basically,
Carolina?
your defensive line.
Yeah. So did it hurt you in recruiting? I mean, obviously Clemson has. So I think overall it's a net negative on the field, and from the fan standpoint, yeah, South Carolina's had some good games in football. Basketball just doesn't even seem that big of a deal.
Will Texas and Oklahoma improve things or make it even worse if you're Tennessee? I mean, in theory,
Worse.
you see Oklahoma's clearly ahead of you in football.
Worse.
It's going to make it worse as far as the results, but as far as the interest in the game, it's going to be better.
They're going to be more interested than Missouri.
I'm more interested in watching Tennessee play Texas than Missouri.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm more interested in watching them play
get back-
Oklahoma.
Missouri doesn't even have SEC-worthy facilities, kind of. I mean, when I'm watching them, I'm like, this isn't an SEC school.
You know, it's funny
to me.
when they entered.
know?
Everything kind of went south on them when you had the race riots out
Right.
there. When that all went down, and there was a backlash to the school. It hurt recruiting. I mean, they won the East 2 years in a row when they first stepped in here, and then Pinkel stepped down,
And then it went
that hit.
downhill.
And if you look at them traditionally, that should be one of the better basketball schools in the league, but they're not good there either, and haven't been since they came in. So they've been more of a disappointment, I would think. I didn't expect them to be great,
Right.
but I thought they'd be a better fit than they would be. I didn't see them coming in and being bottom of the league in everything, which they kind of are right now.
That's it. And I think Texas and Oklahoma, yeah, it's going to be interesting games. But if you're talking about, do you want Tennessee to get back to the top? That, to me, 2 more hurdles in front of you that you're going to have to get around.
Well, here's one way I think Tennessee has been hurt, and I think most of the big schools have been hurt. But Tennessee specifically, you look at the numbers. Everyone looked at it and said, "Well, you're going to be making this much more money, so much more money." You already had the best facilities. All that money did, that SEC network, which
Was
came
helping.
about because of the expansion, all that did was
Yeah.
lift everybody up closer to you, to where you no longer have you still may have top 3 in the conference facilities, but it used to be like this. Now everybody else is right here. I mean, you're not a different solar system from Ole Miss anymore. So I think that has hurt Tennessee. The money was supposed to be a boom, but actually might have been a bust in terms of helping everybody else. What good did it do you? Because you can only be so good in terms of your facilities.
It allowed the other schools to build facilities. It allowed Tennessee to pay off coaches.
Well, let me ask you this one. This was posted in a story a couple of weeks ago on The Athletic. I thought it was brilliant. You go back, the NCAA has this random rule that to have a championship game in football, you have to have 2 divisions, 6 teams each, or else you can't do it. They don't do that in anything else. You can't play a conference basketball tournament unless you have. It's just football had this bizarro rule. And it led to all of this expansion. I wonder if the SEC could have simply, if Roy Kramer could have simply said, we're taking our 10 teams into 2 5-team divisions. We're not expanding. We're just going to play our championship game here. Would they have just stood pat and done that, and would that have been better?
Yes to the second one, no to the first.
I think they still would
I
have
don't think. I
done the
think
money
they
grab?
would have still expanded. Yeah, I mean, think about it. You predicted Missouri in the SEC years before it happened.
We put it on the website and everybody laughed, yeah.
Yeah, because you said of the television footprint.
Right.
You know, Texas A&M, partly because television footprint. So yeah, I think they would have expanded regardless of that.
What's funny is how it changes every 10 years. It's like initially it was you need 2 teams for this championship game. Then we're going to do a cable network, so we need footprint, new states. Now it's just brands. We need brands. It's like, what's it going to be in 10 more years?
Yeah,
when
what's
you're-
next?
When you're adding Clemson and North Carolina.
You know,
what's
my
gonna be the-
expansion was always bring Georgia Tech back. Yeah. Ooh.
Do you remember what Harvey Schiller wanted, the then commissioner of the SEC?
Well, there's so many
Florida
different
State?
stories.
Well, he wanted Florida State and Miami. He wanted Texas and Texas A&M.
The Texas A&M
Those four.
thing, yeah, LSU fought pretty hard to get Texas A&M years ago, and I was on. We did this for Mr. SEC that Texas said they were in, and then they backed away and said we're not coming with those crummy academics. They're over that now, and Texas A&M tried to bring Houston in because that was when Houston they'd just come out of the Andre Ware thing. They'd had a Final Four team, but supposedly they got no traction from the SEC because it's like we don't have the big city schools. That's not what we do. But if they were trying to get Miami. At any rate. All right, when we come back, football and basketball, not just the leagues, but football and basketball have changed a great deal, the sports themselves. Let's talk about the difference in the sports since we launched in 2003. Are they better or worse? Come on back on the Sports Source.